Folks, you're looking at this light cardboard box. I've had this since I was about 8. This has all of my original fireworks that were left over, some of which date back to the mid-1980s. Let's take a look. These are some of my most treasured possessions, and many of them can never be replaced because the factories that created them are all shut down and they will never be manufactured again. Let's see, let's get the newer stuff off the top first. Those Extreme Screams are quite good, but those are quite new. These are about 3 years old. These are some small salutes. I'll put a little warning label on them. These are the overloaded version of the color salutes. Here we have some older crackling balls. These are probably 1990s. 2-color spaceship. That one is not important. These are fairly rare. The Sound Colorful Bird. These are probably late 1990s, early 2000s. And we have a few things that are just stockpiled extras. Some thunder snaps. These are some more of the salutes. I'll probably light these this year. Some lightning flash. I believe these are the old lightning flash. If so, this is from about 1989. And these last far longer than the current lightning flashes. See some more 2-color spaceships and a sunflower here. But what's really important here are the bottle rockets. I have a huge collection of older bottle rockets, some of which date back to the mid-1980s, and some of which you will never find again. Let's take a look here. As before, some of the newer things are on top. These are Night Stalkers. They're only a few years old, but these are the closest approximation that you can find today of how the old whistling rockets used to be. I call those the deep whistle rockets to differentiate them from the high-pitched whistle that you would find with some of the older rockets. The deep whistle rockets started coming out in about 1990, maybe 1989. And when they first came out, I thought they were amazing. I started buying them up. These are all Night Stalkers. I bought several packs of these when I found that they were almost as good as some of the older ones as far as performance. It's very hard to find rockets that are as good as the old rockets used to be in the past, and by old I mean the 1980s. And that's what we're looking at right now. Let's start with one of the older ones here. These are, it's very hard to see the name of them. It's even faded so much. But these are Phoenix rockets, and I think they still make these. You can find them around, but they're nowhere near what they used to be. These were old when I purchased them, but I believe these are from about 1985, 1986. They're interesting just because of their age. They're not an excellent rocket, but they're very interesting just because how old they are. Here we're getting into some of the older whistling rockets. These are called Screaming Rattlers. They still make these, but these are the original Screaming Rattlers from about 1989. And these are an excellent whistling rocket. Now Firefox rockets. You won't find these, I don't think. Sometimes, occasionally, you will find them in rocket assortments. But these are another excellent whistling rocket. Now we're getting into the more rare whistling rockets. These are actually the very first of the whistling rockets to ever come out. They're from a company called 4th of July Extravaganza, and they're called High Velocity Whistling Skyrocket. And they mean high velocity. These are some of the fastest whistling rockets you'll ever see, and they go hundreds and hundreds of yards in height. at least double the height of the current whistling rockets. And they do it in about 1 second, and they are viciously fast, and they fly extremely straight. They made very good care to use the straight sticks. Every stick on this is laser straight, and they fly perfectly straight and just disappear into the sky. You will never find high-velocity whistling skyrockets again. I'm fairly certain the company is out of business. Now these are tulip rockets. I don't think these are too old. I think these are from the early 2000s. But they're fairly good. You'll notice that they have kind of a touch paper, which is what some of the older rockets used to have. And here looks like we have some Brothers brand Strikeout rockets. I really like Brothers brand. It makes some good stuff. The Strikeout rockets I have not been able to find lately, but they're excellent. They're actually they were made in, these are about 2005 era. They're very similar to the other whistling rockets, but these are actually in maybe the top 5 of the whistling rockets that you see here, including the older ones. I'll set this aside. This is something special. I'll set it aside to look at in a little bit. These are called Gator Tails. These are another whistling rocket. These are actually, they're good. I kept them more as an oddity. These do not fly straight. These actually, in comparison to the high velocity, they fly quite erratically. But they tend to loop and circle, but they are very good nonetheless. Let's see, I'm almost out of the whistling rockets. Oh, one more. Howling Grizz. These are from about 1998, I think. They're quite hard to find nowadays. I think they're still available, though. And I've actually forgotten what these are. I think these are more of a high-pitched whistle. Not the deep whistle. Depends on the mixture that they use. And now we're getting into the older stuff. These are Fierce Tiger soaring rockets. These were sold when I was a young child. These are probably from about 1991 and before. They sold them long ago. I have a few packs left. These have the blue nose cone. They came with green and orange nose cone as well, and for a while these were some of the best whistling rockets you could buy. They have a slight delay from when they launch to when they start whistling. They have a very nice display as well at the end. I wish I had kept some of the orange nose cone ones, because those were the very old ones from the mid-1980s, and they flew very high and had an incredibly good display. Very brilliant colors in the mix. You won't see rockets like this very often. Here's some old red meteors now. These were old when I purchased them. So these are probably about mid-80s as well. These are still manufactured, I'm fairly certain, but they don't have the same type of packaging. These should go alongside the Phoenix rockets there. And here's one more package of whistling rockets. These are called Screaming Dragon. These are actually overloaded. They're powerful enough that when they take off, it sounds like they might tear apart their cardboard tube. So they're actually a little bit overpowered, but they have a very similar performance to all the whistling rockets. Most whistling rockets have a crackle at the end. These do as well, except the Strikeouts, I believe, have 3 reports, and the Night Stalkers have 1 report. Night Stalkers are fairly similar to Death Stalkers, but Death Stalkers these days are extremely weak. This is one of the older rocket packs that I have. Multicolor Travel with report, similar to Air Travelers, but I believe they have a very small display when they explode.